Do you ever wonder what makes a movie unforgettable? Is it the fast-paced action, hair-raising stunts, or deep pathos? Today we pull back the curtain on the Gangster featuring Jason Statham and Mark Strong. We delve into stories, facts and reviews that make this movie worth seeing. Welcome to my ultimate guide on the Gangster. In this recording, we will be looking at what distinguishes this blockbuster action film from others. We will examine Jason Statham's impressive performances as well as that of Mark Strong, unveil some behind-the-scenes highlights, and even explore film critics' reception of this movie as well as its cultural import. So if you are an action movie fan or just interested in what goes into a great filmmaking, keep reading. You are in for a heart-pounding experience. Let us begin with the discussion on the two main actors. Jason Statham and Mark Strong have become household names in Hollywood movies, particularly those in the genre of action. Their backgrounds are captivating and contribute to the mystique around the gangster. Jason Statham. Shirebrook, Derbyshire, England is where he was born on July 26, 1967. As a child he loved to dive so much that his parents sent him to dive school at age 11, where he became one among Great Britain's top divers, Fleming. This sporting background helped shape his self-discipline and physicality, which he later put into film. Getting into showbiz was quite unorthodox for Statham too, when a talent scout saw him modeling while working. Because of his rough face and aggressive nature, these subsequent roles suited him perfectly. He first acted in Guy Ritchie's Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, released in 1998, where he played Bacon's character. The success of this film paved way for more parts in action films. Over the years, Statham has gained a reputation for performing his own stunts, which gives his action scenes more realism. Mark Strong. London, England is where Mark Strong was born under his real name Marco Giuseppe Sarusolia on August 5, 1963, Flanders. Strong has had a more formal acting route compared to Statham. He initially went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and started working in theatre. Afterwards, he moved into TV and eventually movies. He is known for being versatile. He has portrayed numerous characters including heroes and villains, but works best when playing deep, intimidating figures. His performances as Lord Blackwood in Sherlock Holmes, Frank D'Amico in Kick-Ass and Merlin in Kingsman have been praised by critics. His ability to bring out complex roles with multiple layers of subtlety makes him stand out. In The Gangster, these two actors combine their unique skills to create an engaging and intense dynamic. Their different approaches make the characters deeper, and this creates a very watchable film. Setting the scene. The setting of The Gangster is a gritty urban environment and corruption, power and danger on every corner. It features Jason Statham as Jack Thompson, a retired hitman who is compelled to come out of retirement when his past finally catches up with him. Mark Strong plays Frank Malone, a ruthless crime boss that used to be Jack's partner but now stands as his main rival. Characters and their motivations. Jack Thompson has tried to leave his violent past behind in order to live peacefully. The safety of his family and keeping off the criminal world are all that he yearns for. Nevertheless, when Malone's goons threaten his family, Jack must shoot again. There is no alternative. It's not only against enemies that Jack wrestles, but also in himself contests with inner demons and violent tendencies. Frank Malone, however, is not just another villain. Throughout the movie it reveals why he is this way. By going into his motivation, he is driven by ambition, desire for power among other things. He calculates everything carefully. Always one step ahead, willing to do whatever it takes to stay on top. His history with Jack gives further depth into their conflict, making each confrontation between them emotional and historical. Plot progression. There was build-up as Jack began debasing Malone's empire bit by bit. In addition to receiving help from former allies along the way, some deceive him too. The storyline includes elements such as loyalty, betrayal and redemption, which helps retain audience interest. By the climax, tension between Jack and Malone reaches its peak point. They confront each other for a final time before an open-ended ending leaves questions unanswered while hinting at possible sequels. Jason Statham's rigorous training. One of the most interesting aspects about action movies is how actors prepare themselves in order to make their roles more believable than ever before. For most action films, Jason Statham is known to perform his own stunts. To feature as a former hitman in the Gangster, he had to engage in physical activities that were demanding. Statham's training consisted of martial arts including karate, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Krav Maga. He also spent long hours at the firing range perfecting his skills with different firearms. The movie bears witness to his intense preparation where every punch, kick or shot looked genuine. This element of realism adds authenticity, which fans of action movies appreciate about Statham and his acting. Mark Strong's psychological preparation. While Strong did not carry out many strenuous physical scenes like Statham, but what he did was equally challenging, if not more so. In order to delve into the mind of a crime lord, he went into understanding the psychology of such characters deeply within himself. Besides reading books on criminal psychology, watching documentaries and speaking with authorities, amongst other things, Malone's menacing voice was achieved by training intensely with a vocal coach, thereby adding some further characterization for Strong. His preparations ensured that Malone is never just a one-dimensional villain, instead shows him as layered character possessing both subtlety as well as depth. The chemistry between Jason Statham and Mark Strong on the screen is a testament to their devotion and admiration for each other's art. The way they depict their characters makes the audience become active participants in the conflict and resolution. Urban landscapes. The choice of locations in the Gangster plays an important role in determining the mood and setting of the film. The film was shot in various cities, which are known for gritty urban landscapes. A significant part of the movie was filmed in New York City, a city that is perfect fit for dark, shadowy films such as these. Its crowded streets make it ideal for high-rise car pursuits, while its alleys and abandoned warehouses form a perfect backdrop for intense gun battles, one-on-one combat scenes. Additionally, through its atmosphere, it gives an immersive feeling to the viewer, making them feel like they are part of what is taking place in reality. Abandoned warehouses and industrial sites. Beside the busy streets within cities, many scenes were shot at deserted warehouses and old industrial sites. These places provide a stark contrast with glitzy cities, showing how criminal world has dark underbellies. Through use of natural light and shadows, the cinematography employed by this film captures these aspects well, thus making it more moody or tense. Symbolism storytelling through location. These locations have been selected not just by basing on aesthetic considerations alone, but also to support plot development. For instance, Jack's Hill suburban abode serves as a juxtaposition between his violent past life and his wish to settle down peacefully elsewhere. Conversely enough, dilapidated dungeons symbolize a wickedness that has taken over criminals' underworld. On-screen dynamics. Among other things, Jason Statham's chemistry with Mark Strong is definitely worth mentioning here. Their scenes together brim with history as well as unresolved conflicts, and as such the audience cannot afford to miss them. Be it a calm, tense conversation or a loud confrontation, they have managed to capture a character's relationship dynamics that can keep the viewers glued to their seats. Off-screen friendship. Paradoxically, there is an off-screen friendship behind these intense on-screen rivalries. Statham and Strong have a mutual understanding and fraternity that is fed through their acting. They are aware of each other's stylish and rhythmic patterns, hence getting into a space where they can play against one another with authenticity. Memorable scenes. One of the most memorable scenes illustrating this fact is when they just stand in silence inside an empty warehouse. The scene is minimalist, having only two actors with minimal exchange of lines. However, The tension in this scene is palpable. Sometimes less equals more, exposing its subtlety as being its true strength in acting terms. Balancing action and depth. The Gangster was directed by Michael Anderson, who had a clear vision for his film. Instead of focusing purely on action alone, Anderson wanted a movie that addressed individual character arcs too. Therefore, he tried to balance between intense action scenes and introspective moments accompanied by dialogue. Cinematography and techniques. To attain this satisfaction, Anderson used countless filming strategies. He had a handheld camera for scenes of actions that would give the sense of events taking place right now, with no order and more. For those moments where characters were in calm, reflective moods, static shots were preferred so as to emphasize on actors' performances. The audience will be retained in the story by this contrast. Pacing and rhythm. In a film like The Gangster, pacing is vital. Anderson was very careful about the rhythm of the movie. One moment it would be high-octane sequences, while another it could be slower and reflective. Such an approach prevents viewer boredom and maintains tension throughout the film. His ability to sustain this dichotomy shows his excellent directorial skills. Director's influence on performances. On top of all this, Anderson played a big part in shaping how actors performed their roles. He urged Statham and Strong to look deep into their character's soul, to know them better, including what motivated them and their pasts, among others. It made their performances multi-layered, thus making their characters more humanized rather than being plain. Action sequences. There are truly breathtaking action sequences in The Gangster. The chase through crowded streets of New York City is intense. Starting from there, we know how things will turn out. Camera shots have been employed correctly, capturing chases from multiple angles at high speed and danger-involved dots. Statham drives flawlessly, displaying his driving skills as well as physical fitness, hence keeping viewers anxious to the end. Hand-to-hand combat scenes. Equally impressive are hand-to-hand combat scenes between Statham's Jack Thompson character, engaged in martial arts training since he was young, hence every punch, kick or flip showcases actual skills in fighting. Realistic yet exciting choreography ensures each fight feels unique and good enough to follow. The makers really exploit such geographical locations such as narrow alleyways, abandoned warehouses and many others for a fight scenes. Storyline and themes. Its storyline is quite fascinating with pacing well done. The Gangster, unlike the typical action-based movies that rely on mere thrill, has been able to weave a coherent story. The conflict between Jack Thompson and Frank Malone is not a simple good verse. Evil narrative. It shows that there are no pure black or white characters, since both of them have contradictory personalities, leading to their complex relationship. Loyalty and betrayal. Themes of loyalty, betrayal, and redemption are woven into the narrative. Jack's journey goes beyond fighting physical battles to resolving his past. Emotionally deep, his inner struggles make this film about more than just action sequences. Jason Statham's performance. One of Jason Statham's greatest performances is in The Gangster. He exudes a tough ruggedness in portraying Jack Thompson's character. It demonstrates how vulnerable this macho character can be from Statham's acting, thereby creating the perception that he is not just a trigger-happy gunfighter. Statham himself adds another dimension to his character through these serene moments when we get inside Jack's head as he navigates through life. Mark Strong's performance. Mark Strong's portrayal of Frank Malone in this movie was simply splendid as well. The actor added so many layers to what would typically seem like one kind villainous figure. Such dispositions, calmness merged with threats where contrasts well with Statham intensity. He plays Malone convincingly, revealing all the intricacies existing within him. The supporting cast did an incredible job, adding depth to the story by making it feel real in The Gangster. Jason Statham's love for fast cars. Hidden behind any great movie are stories that never make it into the screenplay. Jason Statham is famous for his love of fast cars. There's an interesting story about how he was so deep in character during one of the car chase scenes that he almost hit a camera rig. It was a source of amusement among the crew, but Statham ensured nothing happened to anyone due to his professionalism. This incident shows how committed Statham is to giving realistic performances even if it means he has to stretch himself. Meticulous preparations by Mark Strong. On the other hand, Mark Strong is meticulous in his preparations. For instance, he spent hours perfecting how to deliver lines for a scene where his character had a powerful monologue all alone in his room. A sight which got everyone awed at the end of this action created by Strong. In every frame of the film, you can see Strong's dedication towards his role as Malone. Directorial dedication. Similarly, there were times when Anderson demonstrated such level of commitment too. He was so passionate about this film that sometimes found himself doing various tasks, including shooting and arranging props among others. Moreover, he wanted a Gangster to be treated as a family project, hence making each member feel appreciated and listened to while working on set under him. Certainly, this shows Anderson's devotion toward exceptional craftsmanship within his movie. Improvised scenes. Furthermore, some parts of movies are not scripted but improvised as well. The actors were allowed by Anderson to read more into their characters and even divert from what they were given on paper, thus allowing them express themselves with impunity, thus coming up with original moments that spice up real-life interactions. It is such an emotional scene whereby Statham confronts Strong, which exposes their vulnerability, thereby enhancing its strength. Chances for a sequel. The Gangster has captured the imagination of fans worldwide, leading to various theories and speculations. One popular theory is that the film's open-ended conclusion hints at a sequel. The finale scene shows Jack walking away, leaving viewers wondering about his future. Some believe this is what will lead to another part of Jack's life, which may introduce some new challenges or touch on some unexplored aspects of his past. Hidden messages and Easter eggs. The other theory is that there are hidden messages and Easter eggs found in the movie. Some of its admirers have argued that few lines here and there could give an insight into them. For example, a photograph seen briefly in Jack's home might hint at his connection to another character, adding layers to the narrative. Malone's backstory. Additionally, there are also suppositions concerning Malone's origin which were not fully explored in the film. Critics have pointed out small details throughout The Gangster, suggesting that Malone has a deeper background and revealed. These ideas challenge audience members to view it more than once so as not miss slight allusions, thus engaging themselves deeply into cinematic art. Thematic interpretations. Some fans have even drawn thematic parallels between The Gangster and classic literary works. They argue that the film's exploration of themes like redemption, loyalty, and the struggle between good and evil mirror stories like The Godfather and Crime and Punishment. These interpretations add another layer of depth to the movie, making it a subject of discussion and analysis among cinephiles. Character inspirations and real-life parallels. The characters in The Gangster are not just original creations, they are rooted in real life. Jason Statham's character, Jack Thompson, is supposedly based on actual gangsters that wanted to get away from their criminal past. This makes it more authentic. He studied the lives of these guys who had tried to run away from a life of crime, thus playing Jack. Frank Malone's complex background. Mark Strong's Frank Malone is also very much influenced by reality. For instance, his character seamlessly combines different elements derived from various notorious mob bosses known for their mercilessness and cunningness. In order to add authenticity to this role, he resorted to studying actual gangs as well as their leaders. The thoughtfully constructed figures help make them more identifiable, thereby making the script deeper. Real-life events influencing the plot. In addition, some ideas came directly from real events. For example, power struggles within the underworld or difficulties of living a criminal existence may have been inspired by true stories. This makes it all seem realer and more resonant with audiences. art imitating life. By knowing these parallels happening in real world, people will understand how hard it was to bring out these characters in action films. In so doing, there were attempts made at reflecting human experiences, especially on matters dealing with guilt and redemption for one's past lifestyle by depicting interactions between art and reality, thus elevating viewing experience beyond mere thrills. Critical reception. Positive reviews. On its release, The Gangster was generally well received among critics who gave positive feedback about it. Some commended the movie for its action scenes, while others liked it because of good storytelling techniques employed by filmmakers involved here. Still others praised certain performances such as Jason Statham's and Mark Strong's, who played multidimensional roles with great chemistry together. Among other things that were mentioned about the movie was the director's ability to achieve a balance between the action and character's development. Standout elements. Some critics noted that it had a well-balanced pace all through and hence kept the audience captivated from start to finish. The film is made of action but with a heart, as seen by its director, who created it in such a way, this being different from any other movie under the same genre, The Gangster. The combination of high-octane action with emotional depth was praised by both viewers and critics. Areas of improvement. Nevertheless, like every other film, there were criticisms too. Some of them felt that some plot points needed more elaboration. Additionally, others believed that secondary characters needed further development. Despite these concerns, reception was largely positive, hence establishing The Gangster as one of the good entries in action flicks genre ever made. Audience reactions. Crowd responses reflected what critics had to say about the film. Among Jason Statham and Mark Strong fans, the performances were great as well. Action movie enthusiasts praised the movie that had an engaging plot coupled with spurty stage fight scenes. The buzz was kept alive by the movie's open-ended finish that resulted in discussions and debates long after its release. Awards and nominations. The Gangster also caused ripples during the awards season. Though it did not sweep all awards, some nominations for it included those for action choreography and layered performances. These rewards further authenticated quality of this film and efforts made by its team. Setting a benchmark. Future action movies will have to measure up against The Gangster, especially if they combine both good character development and thrilling action scenes. It has set such a benchmark. This indicates that audiences respond positively towards films with well-rounded narratives that go beyond just visual experience. According to this successful movie's box office performance, it has prompted filmmakers into exploring stories hinged on characters, even when in entirely different genres like action. Lessons for filmmakers. The Gangster offers several lessons for filmmakers. The first lesson is how important it is to strike a balance between action-packed scenes and captivating storylines. Action sequences are important. However, they should not replace or overshadow character development or plot lines completely. Therefore, directors must carefully blend these two aspects in their movies so that audience can be more emotionally attached to the heroes. Evolution of the action genre. This might just be the beginning of a new era for an action genre that changes due to The Gangster. Rather than simply emphasizing on actions while neglecting storytelling or character building activities that should provoke emotions, there could possibly be many other films similar to this one soon as possible time, or sooner rather than later. This would expand the audience base, including those who think there is no depth in action movies. Influence on casting decisions. When considering character development, it becomes clear that chemistry between Jason Statham and Mark Strong enhances the narrative. Subsequent films might go for this strategy by placing a lot of emphasis on casting so as to have actors who can perfectly fit into their roles and also bring some depth and a little bit of chemistry when acting. Sustainability of practical effects. The Gangster demonstrates the power of practical effects over CGI. Jason Statham's commitment to performing his own stunts adds a layer of authenticity that resonates with audiences. Filmmakers may take from this, laboring on practical effects and stunts to make their movies more realistic and immersive. Impact on sequel and spin-off potential. With its open-ended denouement as well as favorable reception, The Gangster appears to have potential for sequels or spin-offs. Potential future series could offer other aspects of Jack Thompson's life, while others give deep insights on Frank Malone's past. The expansion options available here only show how far-reaching consequences are expected from this film in years to come. In-depth character analysis. Jack Thompson. Jason Statham plays Jack Thompson, who is a very multifaceted person. He has many layers underneath him. On face value, he comes across as a tough, reformed assassin who is forced back into violence. But it is his internal struggles and hope for peace that make him human. Physicality and skill set. It is during combat scenes where we get to see how skilled Jack really was strong. His knowledge in martial arts, coupled with ability to handle weapons, shows just how dangerous he used to be physically. Internal conflict throughout the movie. We see Jack torn between his violent nature and his desire for normalcy. This makes one want him redeemed, because there have been various instances where he displayed great character depth throughout the story. Relationships. Jack's interactions with his family and former allies reveal another side to him as well. These relationships make him a human being by showing that even a highly trained killer has got feelings at heart. Frank Malone. Frank Malone, played by Mark Strong, is an intense antagonist. Unlike regular bad guys, what makes Malone complex as a character is that he has reasons for doing what he does. Strategic mind. The intelligence of Malone enables him to see one step ahead of his enemies, hence making him very tough for anyone to defeat. He is intelligent and cunning, which makes him a powerful adversary. Personal motivations. The motives behind the film dig deep into the ambition of Malone and his desire for power. It is these motivations plus the past between himself and Jack that make up many sides of the villain in the film. Complex relationships. Conversations with henchmen, as well as other characters, demonstrate that he is such kind of leader who obtains respect through fear and loyalty. Besides this, their relationship with Jack, which involves treasons and enmity, adds depth to the plot. Cinematography. The cinematography in The Gangster was vital in setting the tone of the movie. Michael Anderson alongside his team used different techniques to enhance storytelling. Handheld camera work. This idea gives one instant sense of urgency when watching action scenes, hence giving viewers impression that they are part of it all. Static shots. Whereas in character-based moments, static shots bring out emotional quality by allowing actors' performances to speak on behalf of themselves. Lighting and shadows. This interplay between light and shadow creates such gritty atmosphere for this movie. So use natural lighting outside scenes along with shading indoors so as to improve realism in it. Sound design. Sound design is yet another significant technical facet about The Gangster. Ambient sounds. By involving ambient sounds like street sounds or slide sounds in the background, the movie seems to exist in reality. Action sequences. Such sound effects as gunshots and explosions during action scenes are very sharp, clear, making them tenser and more exciting. Musical score. This film soundtrack was made by skilled musicians. In this regard, music shifts between energetic tracks for action versus character-based ones that are slow and shifty. Editing. The Gangster has very precise editing, which makes it effective and helps to promote its pace as a movie in entirety. Passing the alternating between fast-paced action moments and slower introspective ones keeps the audience engaged throughout. Transitions. Seamless transitions from one scene to another keep up with narrative coherence of the film without making it disjointed at any point. Montages. Well-made montages serve to show training sequences or cover several days within a few minutes, thereby providing important details without slowing down the pace. Depiction of the criminal underworld. The portrayal of criminal underworld in The Gangster is both realistic and deeply grounded into historical contexts. Historical accuracy takes inspiration from real-life events and characters thus giving meaning to its story on organized crime. Additionally, struggles for power among criminal organizations like these have been historically well documented globally. Cultural implications. The film also looks at crime through cultural realms, marking off how various communities come together and influence what happens within underworlds. This level of detail enhances the movie's narrative while broadening discussions about crime against society at large. Social commentary. Apart from being an action-packed story, The Gangster is a social commentary on different issues. Corruption and power. Showing corruption that is all-pervasive in both the underworld and law enforcement agencies, the movie mirrors real life. It explains how power corrupts both individuals and institutions. Redemption and morality. The story of Jack Thompson is about redemption, the struggle to start afresh, away from one's past. This film investigates matters of ethics by exploring whether it is conceivable for someone with a violent history to attempt for and get delivered. Influence of genre conventions. In the gangster and action, genre conventions are both followed and subverted. Genre adherents. Classic ingredients of the gangster genre such as organized crime, betrayal, and highly charged actions are integrated into this picture. Deviation from expectations. On the other hand, it also goes against convention by unveiling deeper characters with individual personal problems. This combination of adherence and subversion makes the gangster an invigorating representation of the genre. Jack Thompson's arc. The Gangster revolves around Jack's character arc. He starts out as an ex-hitman craving peace, but eventually becomes entangled in violence again, which gives his journey a lot of relevance. Initial state. At the beginning of the film, Jack is trying to forget his past. He wants a tranquil family life. Inciting incident. When his family's lives are endangered, Jack returns back to violence that he had abandoned before it serves as an inciting incident. Transformation. Throughout the course of the film, we see him change. First refusing reluctantly in order to protect his loved ones at any costs. His physical as well as emotional change. Resolution. By end of this film, Jack is transformed being who now accepts that violence must be part of his world following reconciliation with what has taken place earlier on, thus enabling open-endedness towards possible sequels for future installments. Frank Malona's arc. Frank's character arc is less pronounced but equally as absorbing. Initial state. Frank begins the movie as a formidable and ambitious crime lord who defends his status quo. Conflict and challenges. The rise of Jack as a worthy rival shakes Frank's position to the core, thus exposing his weaknesses. Motivations. Frank's backstory is touched on in this film, which reveals that he acts out of fear and insecurity. Such motives take him beyond being just an ordinary villain. Conclusion. At the end of the movie, although still powerful, Frank comes across doubt and self-examination thanks to his encounters with Jack. This complexity sets him apart from being a flat villain. Significance of secondary characters. Supporting cast. The supporting cast plays very important roles in moving along the gangster plot as well as making it more intricate and developed. Allies and betrayers. Throughout Jack's journey, he meets allies and betrayers. These characters create depth in the story. They have their own motivations that drive them to take specific actions. Family. They are what motivate Jack more than anything else. Their inclusion into the story raises stakes emotional thereby giving weight to his struggles. Henchmen. In these henchmen, one can see how Frank controls people. They show loyalty of fear, highlighting power structures within this organization he heads, while also working for other bosses too. Character dynamics. Through interactions between secondary characters and protagonists, The Gangster has become complex film. Loyalty and betrayal. It is through these interactions that themes such as loyalty and betrayal are explored, thereby adding layers into main character arcs. Supporting role is the narrative carries significance in the actions and decisions of secondary characters, influencing the trajectory of the main actors. Their action and choices define the path for the protagonist, thereby contributing to the storyline. reception and popularity. Box office success hence, with its popularity among audiences being cemented through its box office success. Critical acclaim thus. These further contributors to their long-term legacy in terms of positive reviews from critics. Influence on popular culture. Quotes and memorable scenes, iconic quotes as well as memorable scenes are very popular discourses referring to some opinions exchanged in other media outlets. Merchandise and fan art. The existence of merchandise, as well as fan art that promoted it, is a clear indication that the film has a lasting appeal. Legacy in action cinema. Inspirational blueprint, that is, future directors may draw inspiration from its way of blending action with character development, which will shape their filmmaking directions within the genre. Long-term impact. It is an important feature within an action genre for years to come due to exploration of complex themes and characters by this movie as a major work belonging to that category. One would remember it or study it more closely than anything one could think about in future. Conclusion and wrap-up. From its engaging plot and complex characters to its stunning action sequences and thoughtful direction, this remarkable achievement sets itself apart from other films in its genre. As such, The Gangster starring Jason Statham Mark Strong offers complete cinematic experience that captivates audience's attention throughout every scene. We hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at The Gangster and gained some unique insights. This makes it a must-watch movie for all those who love action films, because it combines thrilling sequences with great stories. Thanks for watching, and until next time.